Hello guys, in this video we're going to talk about what I think is the top 3 worst professions so far in this expansion. The list is going to be in no particular order, but I will talk briefly about why I think those professions suck, or at least won't match the other professions in terms of profitability, or why I like them. I get a lot of questions on which professions is best to go for to make gold for the Brutosaur, and also how can I make this and that profession profitable. And some of them I would just never ever recommend you guys to go for if you want to make gold, but we will briefly talk about that in today's video. I hope you will like it. Please subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, and let me know your thoughts about what professions is the worst in the expansion so far. But let's get going. The first profession that we're actually going to talk about, which might be a little bit of a hot take, I'm not sure, it's going to be alchemy. Alchemy, in my opinion, can be one of the worst professions in the War Within, because the barrier to entry is just so much higher than the other professions. I don't know why they have made it this way, but to get alchemy rolling and to be able to see some profitable numbers, you have to be like so optimized in your specialization, and you need so many points to get there. So first of all, you're going to need like 55 points in either potions or flasks. Then you're going to need 50 for the skill, and you're also going to need a lot of points in the nodes here. So you're going to look at about over 200 points at least to get started, which is a lot, and way more than all of the other professions in terms of what you need to actually have a kind of a starter build to be able to see profits. I think it's kind of ridiculous. I'm not sure like why alchemy is so much harder. Maybe it's because it's usually so competitive, and it still is, but maybe that's why, I'm not sure, or if it's just like a mistake, because I feel like it's way harder than the other ones. But also, in the current state of the game, you kind of have to be a goblin, because it is so extremely powerful to be a goblin right now. Being a goblin will allow you to actually use less rank 3 lure drops, for example, to craft the potions, which is a huge deal since the rank 3 herbs is so expensive compared to the other ones. In this example, I can use 2 lure drop rank 2 instead of 3 lure drop rank 3, which is going to significantly increase my profit per craft. As you guys can see there, it goes from way less, like, and now I lost my potion buff, but we can still see like the profit increase is insane. It's almost 200 gold profit because we can use the rank 2 lure drops instead of rank 3s, and there is no way to compete against this if you're not a goblin. So not being a goblin is a huge deal for alchemy, and for that reason I think it's way too hard to get into, but it can be good. Like, for me, the part is not that it is hard to get into and the barrier to entry is kind of rough. I personally kind of like it, but the fact that it is so much harder than the other professions, in my opinion, feels kind of weird. I'm not sure if it's intended, or but it probably is, right? It just feels a little bit awkward that it's so hard to get into, and I would never ever at the moment recommend new people to go for alchemy because it's so hard to get into. So that's basically it with alchemy, and why I think it's one of the top 3 worst professions. It can be really good, like if you are min-maxed, and you can probably make a lot of gold with it. I actually craft a little bit with it right now, and it's kind of profitable, but I would still say like it's one of my least favorite professions right now in the expansion, because of the things we just talked about, and I feel like it's not good for the casual players. So the next profession that we're going to talk about is actually going to be Jewelcrafting. I actually used to recommend Jewelcrafting a lot to players. It is still like fairly easy to get into, I would say, and start actually using it. The barrier to entry is not that high, you don't need that many points, and I'd say like it's kind of easy to get into, but I feel like it has gone down so much in terms of profit since pretty much, I think, since we had the prospecting change. Jewelcrafting has been on a downtrend, in my opinion. I've been seeing less and less profitable crafts and less profit margins, sadly. I used to love Jewelcrafting in the earlier stage of this expansion. I used it in my 0 to 2 million challenge, and I made a lot of gold with it. It has definitely been one of my favorites, but now it has definitely fell down on the list because the margins is way thinner now. I think it is since the prospecting change, it just have gone downwards. I guess there is nothing we can do when all of the pebbles and glittering glass, etc. is getting cheaper. The craft is getting cheaper. The margins are, of course, getting slimmer. But at the same time, like, the rank 3 stuff has also been going down quite a lot in profits, what I have seen during a long time. So, of course, it is still profitable. Like, every profession is going to be profitable and no profession is going to be useless, right? But it just have gone down so much, I think, in my opinion. So it has definitely claimed a price here on my top 3 worst list, right? And prospecting, the margins on prospecting has gone down a lot as well. So I just feel like it cannot match up to the other professions right now. And sadly, I think a lot of it had to do with the prospecting change, because I feel like it was actually better before, and I liked it way more before when the stones were so expensive. They used to be like 100 to 140 gold each. Now they are 42 silver each, which is quite a huge difference. Of course, this is just something that has to happen, and it wasn't intended to work like it was before, so they of course had to fix it. But I liked it more before because I feel like there were more options to find profits, right? However, I have not really been into the gem crafting. What I've heard is that it is really competitive. The market is volatile. It's going up and down a lot. So when you craft, sometimes the market just crash and so forth. So it's kind of going up and down, but it's probably the most viable thing to do right now, I think, in jewel crafting is actually going for gem cutting, because the shaping, like basic radiance, is still like decent, but the margins are so slim most of the times, I would say. So it can be rough, but I'm not sure. If you have any other opinions, of course, let me know in the description. I might be wrong here, guys, but this is just my opinions and what I feel like, because I am so into the crafting stuff right now, and I really like pretty much all of the professions. I've liked all of the professions so far in this expansion, and I used to love jewel crafting like in the beginning here, but now it just fell down on my list because it has gotten worse and worse, I think. But hopefully it will recover, and I'm not sure what's going to happen when the next patch comes, if we're going to get something new or not. But as of now, it's not looking good, and it probably will keep on going down since all of the math is actually also going down. Like the marble stones is around 10 gold right now. Rank 2, when I used to sell them, they were 10 times the price almost, or not that much, but it was way more expensive, like 80 gold, 60 gold. It was way more expensive at least. So the market is more stable and way less profits, I would say. But it is a profession that still is fairly easy to get into, so you shouldn't look away from it. Some professions are just easier to get into, and that might also be why the profit margins are slimmer, because the barrier to entry is less. It's always about that. If you want to start a profession and get going today, it's going to be hard to pick one of the larger one, like Alchemy that we just talked about or something. But this one is not a lot of points that you actually need to get started. So I would say it's decent, but it's definitely on my top 3 worst list right now. So the next profession we're going to talk about is actually going to be leatherworking. This has been the absolute worst profession, in my opinion, in this expansion. I don't know what happened, but it has just been awful. The profit has been awful since the start. It has been so hard to find profits in leatherworking at all. I usually say there is no chance there is not a lot of profit to make in a profession, because people won't craft it if it's negative value. But I just have seen no kind of good profits in leatherworking unless you manage to time the market right, and that just feels like purely RNG. And in the start of the expansion, something happened with leatherworking. It was just so bad. I'm not sure if it is because some of the crafts is actually you're able to make in rank 3 without rank 3 materials. In all of the other professions, pretty much every single craft you can make with just rank 3 mats if you want to be able to make it in rank 3. But some crafts in leatherworking you can make rank 3 without using rank 3 materials, which is going to, of course, crash the price of those things. And maybe in the start of the expansion as well, a lot of people is skinning, and maybe it pushes the price down and makes this not profitable. But it has just been so awful, in my opinion, and it's just between all of the other professions, this is just 10 times worse, and I don't know why anyone would opt in to get leatherworking. But I guess, of course, there gotta be some way to make money with it, because otherwise people should not probably craft with it. But I just feel like it has been such a mess and so much worse than anything else. This is a profession that I have said, you can go with any profession, just don't won't go with leatherworking because it is so awful. I really don't like it, and I'm not really sure why, but I feel like it has been so bad compared to all of the other professions with making gold, actually. And I don't know if it is because of the rank 3 that we just talked about, or why the reason are. Honestly, I have not been actually looking too in depth into leatherworking since it has been so bad. And all I have heard of everybody else as well is that leatherworking sucks. It's the worst profession. Everybody thinks that, and that is actually very, very true. So this should not be that controversial. It should be the least controversial take, like in this video for sure, because it's so awful. So I would never ever recommend anyone going for it. However, I think I'm going to take a little bit more detailed look into it soon, because I need to know exactly why it is so bad and why it has been so bad and why it is still this bad. So we need to do some kind of a deep dive into leatherworking and see like what's going on. But this is the least profession. I would not recommend anyone to go for it right now, and it's simply because finding profits in it is so hard, so hard, even though there is a lot of reagents to make, which is usually positive if you want to do mass crafting, but in this case it's just awful. I might have been a little bit too negative right now about leatherworking, but it's just like I would never ever recommend anyone to go for it right now to make gold. And I see a lot of people want to get the Bruto, and if you're gonna go for leatherworking, you're just gonna set yourself back, right? So that is definitely the least profession I would recommend. And I made a top 3 best profession list a couple of days ago that I posted, and in that video you will have my takes on which professions is the best. That profession will easily be able to make you gold enough for the Brutosaur, at least I hope so. So you should check that out if you want to make some gold. But we are going to end this video on the note with leatherworking being extremely bad. I hope I have not made any of you guys upset, because I know that some people really love their professions, but I would like to know your takes in the comments below. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I have a goal of reaching 3,000 subscribers before the end of this year, and please like the video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.